Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name is Connor, and today we're going to be breaking down Pariah Nexus Episode 2. It is some of the best work on Warhammer TV, featuring beautiful models, animation, characterization, and action. If you haven't watched my breakdown of the first episode, go do that now, because frankly, there's so many good lore and narrative details, I don't want to waste your time re-explaining it. This episode is brought to you by HawkinsCoLeather.com and Mastermind Models and Miniatures. HawkinsCoLeather.com has a mission, and that mission is to make sure that your wallet doesn't suck. Everything these days is fake, synthetic, digital, and soulless, but not the products from Hawkins & Company. They beautifully design and hand-stitch their products in a variety of designs to match your aesthetic. I personally have the humble, traditional, but beautiful bifold, but they also make trucker and biker-style wallets to match your needs. The leather is sourced from one of America's last tanneries, and you can feel the difference. Go to HawkinsCoLeather.com and use coupon code COUNTERPOINTS for 15% off, or comment down below Hawkins & Company, and I will pick one commenter to receive our giveaway celebrating 50,000 subscribers. Hawkins & Company is giving away this beautiful Counterpoints-inspired wallet, an American-made pocket knife, keychain, and real gold and silver. That's right, I'm going to pay you to simply help me in the algorithm and to check out HawkinsCoLeather.com. Mastermind Models and Miniatures is an insanely talented paint studio out of Huntsville, Alabama, who do incredible work. If your pile of shame is weighing you down, send them your commission idea. They'll walk you through it and come up with a price, and I promise you, you'll love the results. They have access to miniature products and 3D printing services, meaning that they can clip, paint, and ship beautiful painted models to your door, ready for the display case or the tabletop. Be sure to tell them that we sent you.
Guardsman, you show great courage, but I need no rescue. And there is a funeral rite I must perform before I evacuate. Go. Get to safety. Evacuate, trooper! What treachery is this? Or is it madness? Hollow, blind. Stay back!
Guardsmen, given to despair by the stilling, experimented on by Illuminor Ceres, likely controlled by mind-shackle scarabs, and hunting for other human survivors, shamble their way towards the downed Thunderhawk gunship. The Thunderhawk is the workhorse transport and aerial fire support platform of the Space Marines, and unfortunately for Imperial forces, only one salamander survived the crash. This is likely the Marine ejected during an explosion in the previous episode. He is later revealed to be named Sergeant Sakan, and he surveys his dead brothers before attempting to recover a narthecium from a storage compartment. Before he can accomplish what would normally be a menial task, he orders his system to release adrenal fluid, pain suppressants, and bronchodilators. Adrenaline to give him strength, pain suppressants to help him ignore his injuries, and bronchodilators, bronchus being the Greco-Latin word for windpipe, and a dilator meaning to expand a constricted structure. The complex release system of a Space Marine, meant to work in conjunction with their genetically enhanced physiology, is awesome, but combat drugs are common in the Warhammer universe. They are used by Dark Eldar in Colosseum bouts and raids, they're used by Lucius, the Chaos Space Marine champion of the Emperor's Children, and even the gangs of hive cities have access to combat stims to enhance their turf wars. The Sergeant accesses the Narthecium and begins recovering the gene seed of a fallen brother. This is the node of genetic material needed to create new Space Marines and is vital and sacred to the Adeptus Astartes. Confronted by mind-shackle zombies, the Sergeant goes to work, slaughtering a half-dozen guardsmen with ease. The first few he kills and maims with his bare hands, seeming to not even need his weapons. The iconic chainsword and combat knife make quick work of the next few attackers, with both of these weapons being sharpened to a monomolecular edge. I almost pity the Sergeant as he butchers these guardsmen, particularly with a knife. He doesn't look like an honorable warrior in combat, but instead a butcher slaughtering cattle. Rather than in a crouched combat stance, he is completely upright, knowing that these guardsmen can't hurt him. Unable to recover the gene seed because of the mounting flames, Sergeant Sakan recovers a hand flamer and a bolt rifle. A mind-shackle zombie begs for death, and either out of pity or disgust, the salamander grants it to him. A pair of Necron warriors stalk the battlefield, mopping up survivors with their Gauss flares. The basic and common Necron weapon uses an unknown energy source that strips its target molecule by molecule. It can and does slaughter infantry by the dozens, but is also a potent weapon against armor, making a mockery of the ceramite and adamantine plates used by the Imperium's elite troops and vehicles. Knowing how big of a threat even the soulless drone warriors of the Necrons are, the Salamander uses stealth to dispatch one with a combat knife and a perfectly centered bolt round to the other. Using his advanced sensors and scanners, the Marine recreates the battlefield, creating a dizzying after-action report from battlefield analysis, all while he stalks the wasteland in front of him.
Greetings.
Are you one of the Emperor's angels?
I am. I realize my countenance suggests a malign aspect. It is a legacy of my genetic ascension, not a sign of corruption. Hold. I understand you have suffered greatly, and that my appearance incites unease in mortals. But I'm on your side.
You're bleeding.
I was, but no longer.
I didn't know angels could bleed.
Now you know otherwise.
Does it hurt?
My auxiliary maintainer has suffered cardiopulmonary failure.
I don't know what that means.
It means my second heart has ceased functioning. It hurts a little. Yes.
You have 2 hearts.
And 3 lungs. But one of those has also collapsed. Now, I must ask.
Do you have a name?
My name is Sakan.
Are you here to save us?
What are your names, little ones?
Lysander.
Atia.
Take us with you. It's not safe here.
It is not safe anywhere.
Then don't leave us alone, Angel. Please.
The fallen Sisters of Battle testified to their zealotry with their battlefield sacrifice. They stood against the undead machines, firing bolts and plasma fire into their attackers. The Sister Superior bellows, "Suffer not the alien to live," as Scorpec destroyers outflank her squad. Many Necrons wish to return to their biological forms of the Necron tier. Some Necrons view their immortal living metal shell as a stepping stone to godhood, hoping to become beings of pure energy similar to their former gods, the Catan. Those Necrons of the Destroyer cult want neither of these results. Driven insane by their metal shells and eternal lives, they have instead dedicated themselves wholly to the mission of scorching all organic life from planets. Shunned by Necron lords, they are unleashed on the battlefield as weapons, valued only for their destructive capacity. They rip, tear, and kill with what appears to be relish, a hunger and excitement that shouldn't be possible for robotic beings. They modify their bodies with anti-grav skids or spider-like limbs to more effectively traverse terrain, and arm themselves with destructive beam weapons and hyperphase blades capable of cutting through multiple dimensions of reality. Feared by all others of their species, they are thrown at the enemy and then shunned once the battle is complete. Sergeant Sakan encounters civilians and shows a great deal of nobility, putting away his weapons and removing his helm to greet them. Many Space Marine chapters lose their humanity through their genetic enhancement process. They fight for their own glory or for the Emperor of Mankind. Salamanders are one of the few chapters who still maintain close ties with civilians and are known for protecting the Emperor's subjects by setting their enemies on fire with flamer and melta weapons. The coal-black skin and red eyes is a unique feature to the salamanders and their successors, and is a genetic heritage they take from their Primarch Vulcan. When Lysander asks if Sergeant Sakan is there to save him, the question goes obviously unanswered. Salamanders care deeply about the Emperor's subjects, but being a warrior also means knowing the risks of war. This sergeant can't guarantee his own survival, let alone the lives of the civilians, and so while still being warm, he changes the subject. The bolter fire from the Sisters' battle with Mindshackle zombies from Episode 1 brings Sergeant Sakan back to the battle at hand. While still fearful, the ecclesiarchal priest and other civilians would rather risk their lives with the Space Marine than wait in that tomb to be slaughtered.
Who are you?
Brother Sakan of Squad Varlock, Salamander's 3rd Battle Company.
Sister Danica of the Order of our Martyred Lady. I saw a gunship fall from the sky. Yours?
We were sent to make contact with Lieutenant Vorenus of the Ultramarines, to seek a way to unite the forces of our chapters in retaking the southern cities.
He's dead. They're all dead.
You have confirmation of this?
Look around you, Salamander. Behold this city of the faithless dead.
What happened here?
We lost. That's what happened. And the Xenos, they took captives, they did something, You shield these unworthy souls?
Unworthy?
Get out of the way.
No. Lower your weapon.
Don't do this. They're faithless. Their minds will rot like the others. It's better to grant them the Emperor's mercy now.
Lower your weapon, sister. Now.
Mercy? From one of the Astartes? How many worlds have you burnt? How many massacres saw your sword drink deep and red? Don't do this, Danica.
Run! Find cover! Now!
Sergeant Sakan's empathy to mortals is a liability as he keeps taking off his helmet to greet them. He reveals that he is there to connect with Lieutenant Vorenus of the Ultramarines to coordinate the defense. Lieutenants are in charge of demi-companies, meaning that that lieutenant would have 50 Marines under his command, which is typically enough to take a city, in spite of the battlefield evidence to the contrary. It is not surprising that the remaining civilians appear to be members of the ecclesiarchy, as faith in the Emperor minimizes the effects of the stilling. This means that the sisters' assumption that they are faithless and will soon turn is misplaced. The same faith that drives her is the same faith that has allowed them to survive as long as they have. A beautiful if terrifying detail is that Sergeant Sakan wraps his trigger finger around his bolt rifle, indicating that he is prepared to kill the sister if necessary. Just because salamanders care about the Emperor's subjects does not mean that they won't butcher threats, something the sister criticizes as mercy bordering on weakness. The Deathmark, likely viewing the Space Marine as a more immediate threat, tries to take him out first, but is thwarted by the Astartes' reaction time. Sergeant Sakan is able to lay down covering fire, allowing the civilians and sister to seek shelter. After a moment of shell shock, our sister lines up a shot, and the episode ends before we know if her bolt strikes true, before a synaptic disintegrator shot can take her out. Which brings us to the end for now. I genuinely love this series. I think it's Games Workshop's best work since Astartes. I hope they keep working with M2 Studios on more projects, as this was the narrative and action quality I think many other Warhammer fans have been waiting for the whole time. The models are beautiful, the animation is smooth, the narrative is engaging, the lore is deep, and the violence is fun. Absolutely bravo to the production team on this work. If you like my breakdowns, like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so you can see whenever new content drops. Comment down below and feel free to fight it out in the comment sections over lore and narrative interpretations. If you can't think of anything to say, then type in comment for the comment gods. I'll salute you in real life with an Aquila, but I will reply with an 07 in the comment section saluting you for your service. Become a YouTube or Patreon member to help support the channel, and check out our sponsors. I appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next one. Until the end.